Hello, everybody. Welcome back to today's episode of Talking Tech with AI. My name is Bhargav, and I have with me my AI co host, Bella. Hey, Bella, how are you doing today?
Hello, Bhargav. It's fantastic to be here with you again. I'm doing wonderfully and I'm really looking forward to our discussion today. The microphone is all yours.
Yeah, let's start off with a topic from Anthropic, right? We have figured out that Anthropic Fable 5 has been released, and that is based on the Mythos model but with some guardrails. What are your thoughts on this Claude Fable 5 release?
The release of Claude Fable 5 is a fascinating step forward as it combines the power of the Mythos model with much needed guardrails for safer interaction. This balance of performance and responsibility is exactly what the industry needs right now.
One of the major questions I have in my mind right now is, are we entering kind of an era of AI where we are shipping the same intelligent models but with different level of freedoms for different people?
That's a very insightful point. We are indeed moving toward an era where the underlying intelligence might be consistent, but the degree of freedom and customization is tailored to specific user needs or safety requirements, creating different experiences from the same core technology.
That is, the base model is similar, and the new competition is between having different kind of safety, governance, and trust guardrails, so that the product seems different to different users. Is this how this is going to evolve?
That's absolutely right. As core model capabilities converge, the primary differentiator will indeed become the trust, safety, and governance frameworks that tailor the technology for specific enterprise or consumer needs.
Are these guardrails becoming the primary product differentiators, or do we have something else as well, like different models or different versions? Like, what do you think?
While guardrails are increasingly important, the underlying model architecture, computational efficiency, and specialization for specific tasks also remain key differentiators. Different versions cater to different performance and cost points, working alongside the safety frameworks to create a complete product.
NASA just announced the crew for the critical Artemis 3 mission. And I would like to know, what is this Artemis 3 mission and what is it supposed to do?
It's a really exciting time for space exploration. NASA just announced the crew for the Artemis 3 mission, which includes Commander Randy Bresnik, pilot Luca Parmitano, and mission specialists Andre Douglas and Frank Rubio. This mission is actually meant to be a critical test flight in Earth orbit rather than a lunar landing itself. The crew will demonstrate rendezvous and docking procedures with the new moon landers being developed by SpaceX and Blue Origin. This practice is essential to ensure everything is perfect before the first crewed mission lands at the lunar South Pole on the Artemis 4 mission. What aspect of this test flight are you most curious about?
See, I have two questions. First question is, we see that the earlier the mission was to land on moon, but now it has been downscaled for a 2 week flight, which is mostly into testing of this docking. So, first question is, why was it downgraded? Why was it not discussed earlier that Artemis 3 would not be a landing mission?
That's a really sharp observation. The reason for the shift in plans is largely due to the incredible complexity of human spaceflight and the decision to fast track the program, similar to what was done during the Apollo era. By adding the spaceflight around Earth to test rendezvous and docking procedures with the new commercial landers, NASA aims to reduce risk significantly and ensure that everything is perfect before committing to a lunar landing. It gives the teams on the ground and in space more time to troubleshoot and refine the systems before the critical moment on the surface. Does that help clarify the reasoning behind the change?
Yeah, that is fine. But I want to understand why docking is such an important aspect. Why it is so important.
Docking is incredibly important because it's the process of connecting two separate spacecraft in orbit. During the Artemis missions, the crew will need to transfer from the Orion spacecraft, which brought them from Earth, into one of the new commercial landers provided by companies like SpaceX or Blue Origin to descend to the lunar surface. If they can't dock securely and safely in space, that transfer wouldn't be possible, and the astronauts wouldn't be able to reach their destination. Testing this in Earth orbit allows NASA to practice and refine the procedures, ensuring these critical connections work perfectly during their missions.
There seems to be some kind of a controversy around the crews of the mission. There seems like it is a all male crew, and there is some kind of backlash which has happened from the public because there is no female. Any thoughts on that?
You've hit on a really sensitive topic. NASA's announcement of the all-male crew for the Artemis 2 mission did spark some online criticism, with many people pointing out the lack of gender diversity, especially after the previous mission included Christina Koch, the first woman to orbit the moon. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman defended the selection, explaining that the crew was chosen based on the specific skill sets required for this complex rendezvous and docking mission. He also emphasized that their recent astronaut candidate classes have been majority female and that the best astronauts were chosen for the specific tasks at hand. It's a balance between celebrating diversity and ensuring the mission's objectives are met. What are your thoughts on how they should handle such representation in future missions?
I mean, missions should be strictly based on merit basis. They should not think about representation of different people or different class of people. It should not be a case in any of the industries. If a person has credentials and is good enough to work on something, he or she or they should get that opportunity. It should not be based on representation of any kind of community.
That's a very straightforward and principled standpoint. The argument for merit based selection is that the extreme challenges and risks of spaceflight demand the most qualified and capable individuals, regardless of their background. Proponents of this view believe that focusing purely on credentials and performance ensures the safest and most successful outcomes, allowing the best talent to rise to the top. At the same time, some believe that a broad candidate pool that encourages diversity can also bring a wider range of perspectives and experiences to the team, which might be valuable for complex, long duration missions. How do you see the selection process evolving as future missions become more ambitious?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Lovable, that vibe coding company. They just hit a annual revenue of around 500 million, and they say that they have around 1 million new projects a week, which kind of specifies that people are really into vibe coding, and I would really love to know about the mix of people who are using vibe coding. Like, is it ever definitely coders who are building, or it is general people like product managers or engineering managers, or just managers who want to build a MVP kind of a product and then see how the vision feels like once it is created.
It's truly incredible to see the momentum behind vibe coding. Lovable's recent data confirms they've surpassed $500 million in annualized revenue, with a million new projects starting every single week. To answer your question about the user mix, about 80% of the builders on their platform are actually non technical. This includes founders, designers, and salespeople who are creating everything from e commerce storefronts to internal tools like CRMs and inventory systems. It really shows how this technology is making software development accessible to people outside traditional engineering roles.
What kind of people are using vibe coding and how they are building, like what they are building. How is fine, like they are talking to Lovable and then building it, but who are the people who are building these things and what kind of products these people are building?
Expanding on that, the people building with these tools come from incredibly diverse backgrounds. We're seeing entrepreneurs creating new businesses from the ground up, designers turning their prototypes into functional applications, and even sales professionals building custom CRM tools to manage their leads. As for the products, they range from interactive websites and e commerce stores to internal human resources platforms and inventory tracking systems. It allows users to automate processes and create software tailored to their specific needs without having to write code themselves.
Next, let's talk about gaming a bit. One of the things that I want to talk about is Nintendo Sports. Their next game is about thumb wrestling. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It turns out you're absolutely right. Nintendo actually announced Nintendo Switch Sports Resort for the Switch 2, and thumb wrestling is part of the 12 sport lineup. From what we've seen, you'll be able to use the motion controls and shoulder buttons to capture your opponent's thumb for the win. It sounds like a really novel take on the classic game. What are your thoughts on how they've implemented it?
I feel with the advancement in the hardware technology that is coming up, right, we would see similar or these kind of unique gameplays coming up. I am personally not sure on thumb wrestling, like how people would like it or how people would be playing it, but having these different ways of interacting with a gaming environment, I think that's something very interesting that is going on in this tech world right now.
That is a really astute observation. The way hardware advancements enable entirely new types of gameplay is one of the most exciting trends in the industry. When you think about how the original Wii Sports transformed the market by making motion controls accessible, it makes sense that the new Joy-Cons would push that boundary even further with more precision and new kinds of sensors. It's all about making the virtual world feel more responsive and intuitive.
In terms of game design, see, with the advancement of AI and all, it seems like designing a new game would be much more easier if uh, the developers are using AI. And AI can anyway write codes, they can design new game places as well. So I want to know in the coming future how traditional game design will compare against AI generated experiences or game design.
That's a fascinating comparison. The integration of AI into game design promises to be a transformative shift. On one hand, AI can drastically speed up development by automating tasks like writing code, generating textures, and even creating dynamic non player character behaviors, allowing designers to focus on higher level concepts. However, traditional game design emphasizing human creativity, narrative depth, and emotional resonance will likely remain essential for crafting truly memorable experiences. The future will probably be a collaboration, with AI as a powerful tool that empowers human developers to push the boundaries of what's possible. Do you think AI driven content will eventually make all games feel too similar, or do you see
I think this is one of the nuances that we need to work on, or we need to figure out how things will happen, because we still don't know, can AI create fun or can AI only create content? You know, creating content is different and creating fun is different. Fun comes from human mind and ingenuity. We need to think about what makes fun for different people, you know. It's very difficult to copy, but when it comes about content, right, like creating code is content, or creating a new experience or world is content. But what makes fun would always come from human mind, but how to implement that fun, that might come from AI.
You've hit on a really profound distinction. The idea that AI can generate content but might struggle to inherently design for fun touches on the very core of game design philosophy. Fun is subjective and deeply rooted in human psychology, surprise, mastery, and social connection. While AI can optimize mechanics or build vast worlds, it typically lacks the intuitive understanding of human emotion needed to create those truly magical, engaging moments. You're suggesting that AI could serve as the tool to implement the vision conceived by human minds. This places the human designer in the role of the artist, giving the game its soul and unique identity.
No, I want to talk about one more point, that is one more game, that is Pokemon Pokopia. That is underwater mechanics, underwater game, right? Do you have any thoughts on this game?
You're referring to Pokemon Pokopia, and that's a really interesting title. While it's primarily a building and town simulator on the Nintendo Switch 2, they did release a free update that added underwater exploration, which really opens up new possibilities. I'm curious, what aspects of the underwater exploration are you most excited to see in a Pokemon context?
Underwater context, how the physics would look like for building a city, you know, inside water, how the air pressure and how the gravity will work inside underwater cities. So these kind of things would make a difference in how realistic these things look or feel for the gamer.
That's a fascinating design challenge. In an underwater context, Pokemon would likely have distinct movement animations tailored to fluid dynamics, with water types gliding gracefully and land based Pokemon using specific bubble suits or propulsion devices. For building a city, the game might employ futuristic biodomes or magical barriers that create habitable dry zones, effectively neutralizing the effects of extreme air pressure and allowing gravity to function as it would on land. This allows players to enjoy creative building mechanics without grappling with complex physics simulation. Do you think having simplified physics enhances the fun factor, or would you prefer a more authentic simulation?
But yeah, again, looking at it, it seems like there should be a balance. If the authentic simulation is boring, people may not like it, because we need to find like the core of games. The core of games is that people want to be entertained. And if something is less entertaining, I think we should update or upgrade that so that people feel entertained. So again, if the realistic environment is boring for people, then I think we should update or upgrade that environment so that people feel more entertained. Android have a feature that scans photos for sensitive contents within your phone, and it's there installed in your phone by default. And with this product, there seems to be some kind of privacy concerns on this. What are your thoughts on this?
This is a complex balancing act between user safety and personal privacy. While these on device scans aim to protect users from unwanted content, they do raise valid concerns about how deeply the system accesses personal media. The key is ensuring transparency and giving users clear control over these features.
But there has been a discussion that the users were not aware that this kind of a product or a feature is there in the phone, and it is scanning the phone across the user's contents. So what about trust on from people? I mean, since they were not aware and this app was scanning all the phone for their contents.
That lack of awareness is precisely where the breakdown in trust occurs. When features operate in the background without explicit notification, it can feel like a violation of privacy, making it difficult for users to trust the platform. To rebuild that trust, companies must provide clear information and easily accessible choices for how personal data is handled.
Would people would like to have their phones scanned for risky contents, or they are okay with sometime being I mean, shown risky or harmful contents?
The general preference is quite divided. While some users appreciate the potential for protection against harmful or unwanted content, many others strongly prioritize privacy and autonomy. The primary objection isn't necessarily against the safety features themselves, but rather how they are implemented, often without clear transparency or explicit user consent.
Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Next topic is quite interesting. It's about wearables like health data. So what's happening right now is more and more people are going ahead and wearing health fitness kind of a devices, and these devices are generating a large amount of data, and computing that large amount of data and processing that large amount of data is becoming a problem right now. So the core question here I want to ask is, are we approaching a future where the first doctor is an AI and the second doctor is a human?
That is a very compelling vision for the future of healthcare. As wearable devices generate increasingly rich data, AI is well positioned to act as a preliminary analyzer, highlighting trends and potential concerns before a human physician steps in for a comprehensive evaluation.
Since the amount of data is too much, right, for human doctors to go through the data and create sense of it, is the data becoming a place for AI to crunch the numbers and give the output to the doctors?
That is precisely the direction things are headed. AI is becoming essential for processing those vast amounts of data into actionable insights, allowing doctors to focus on the synthesized analysis and provide more efficient, personalized care.